Okay, welcome to this video. Today I want to talk about how you actually buy such a budget boat and what the entire process around it includes. And we're gonna talk about it in, I think, a 9-part series. So there's gonna be part 1. Today we're gonna talk about how you can actually find such a deal, because I've been getting this question a lot, like, Niklas, how do I find such a cheap boat? Where do I find such a cheap boat? And that's what we're talking about today. First of all, you have to know where to look. There are different locations and different places where you should have a look. First, of course, would be online, because I don't know how close you will live to an ocean or to a shipyard or whatever, but most of us start to search online. So there are a couple of big platforms you will most likely be around, like Boat24 or Boat.com or however they are called, Yacht All and whatnot. Those will be your initial overview, but you will most likely not find a boat in that price category you were looking for on those sites, because on those sites you have to pay a fee to even list your boats. So the boats we're looking for, these boats are not listed on a website where you have to pay a fee. They are listed on websites that are completely free to use. So you're gonna have to use local markets. That is completely different from country to country. Like Germany is eBay Kleinanzeigen, in Spain it is Wallapop, in the United States, like, you have Craigslist, but then also Facebook Marketplace is actually, you can look for Facebook Marketplace around the world. And of course, you should know where to look for in which country. The second point would be know your market. And with that, I mean not know already like where the prices are for the boats, but more, are there certain areas around you or even further away that tend to have cheaper prices. Let me tell you an example. In Europe, the further down south you go and the closer to the Mediterranean, the prices are normally higher than, let's say, for example, in the north of Germany or Sweden, Norway, those northern countries, because here in the Mediterranean there's much more traffic for boats. Like, you have charter boats, you have, like, it's a much nicer region for most people to sail. That's why prices here tend to be higher than in the north. But I don't know how it is in other countries around the world, but at least in Europe it is the way how I described it, that in the north the boats tend to be cheaper than in the south. So make your research about that and see if there's any similar situation around you, or maybe you are even from Europe, so use that information to your good. Like, I would also recommend you to go to Greece, France, Spain I can't really recommend. Netherlands, for example. Those are regions where I would say go there to look for cheap boats. Even in the south, like Greece and France are relatively far in the south, but still they're known for like a lot of sailing. So just the amount of sailboats there is so much bigger than here in Spain mainland. Like, there are a lot of harbors and a lot of boats, but in comparison to Ibiza, Mallorca, where you have so many bays, so many beautiful places you can go with a boat, and in comparison to the Spain mainland, no hate against the Spain mainland, but it's just more boring here, you will have a bigger pool of boats that potentially are in your price range. That's just like simple math. Now on to point 3, which is every price is negotiable. Like, doesn't matter where you look, the price you will see online will most likely not be the price you will end up paying for a boat. Take my boat as a comparison. It was listed for, I think the first listing was even 28,000 euros. They reduced it to 23,900 or whatever, and I paid in the end 15,000 euros. So that's like a super good 50% reduction on the price, if you, like nearly 50% from the original 28,000. So you will never pay the price that it is listed for. Keep that in mind, because with that, I want to tell you is, like, if your budget is 10,000 euros, don't just look for the boats that are 10,000 euros. Look for boats that are 12, maybe even 15, maybe even 20,000 euros. Although I have to say, from 20 to 10, there has to be like a super good negotiating tactic, and I'm getting to those later on in the series. But point 4, that will be looking on physical places. At some point you will have at least a couple of boats that you feel like they could be something. So you have to check them out, because no one should ever, like, especially in our price range, we have to be super careful. Never buy a boat without looking at it, except it costs like €1 and you have a place to store it, and even if it's complete trash, you basically don't have to pay anything, because that's the only way I would say buy a boat without looking at it. Okay, looking at physical places, that's the thing. Where do you go to? There are a couple of places I would recommend, and like I said earlier, France, Greece would be some of them. You're gonna have to see where the big boatyards are. For example, in France it's Sète and Port Saint-Louis. That's for France, at least from what I know. I'm pretty sure there are a couple of more places you can go to. And then for Greece, I've never been to Greece, I have to say that, but from what I've heard, Preveza is a good place to go to, and I think that's it. I don't know, they're pretty sure some other places that are good to go. Make your research on that. It's super simple. Just ask AI where's the biggest shipyard around me, and that's it. Like, it's not that complicated. One tip I have to say for everyone that is living not on a big lake, but maybe close to a big lake, and you have farmers around your area, I'm not promising you will find a super cheap sailboat there, but in the area where I'm from, and on the Lake of Constance in Germany, Austria and Switzerland, there are a lot of farmers that actually store sailboats on their property. Don't ask me why, but a lot of times those sailboats just sit there and are not being used. So they never thought about selling it, because like I said earlier, if you have a place to store, a boat is cheap as hell, because you don't have to pay for anything if you don't want to. So those people don't think about selling, but if you make them the offer to just take it off their property, they don't have to worry about it anymore, it's out of their sight, out of their mind, then you can make a deal. But that's only if you're in such an area, which I can only talk for my area. Like I said, Lake of Constance, if you're from there, that's the area you can look for those farmers. Last point 6, and that might be a super controversial point, but look for red flags. Because a perfect boat for a super cheap price, either a scam or somebody will be faster than you. So I'm not saying look for red flags that will cost you your entire money, but look for red flags that scare away most of the people. There will still be some people that will not be scared away, because I mean, there are literally people buying boats and ripping out everything and building it up from scratch again. That is even too much for me, I think. Maybe at some point, but not right now. So look for red flags that are big, but big and fixable. So what I mean with that is optical things. Super easy thing. Like, if the color's bad, who cares? We're here to sail, we're here to live on the boat. Who the hell cares if it looks nice? Honestly, like, who the hell cares? Obviously, at some point we want to make it nice, but for the first thing, we want to live and we want to sail. So optical things, just, we don't care. If it's something we can push the price down, that's good for us, but that's nothing we have to worry about for now. Another thing, there are a lot of old boats that have, within the shelves, there's like a fabric, and that fabric is glued to the fiberglass with like super cheap glue. So in my boat, for example, it looked like literally the entire deck was completely wet, and a lot of people were scared. I was scared as well, because I had a good friend of mine with me who was like, bro, the entire deck is wet, you shouldn't buy it, you have to get everything down and basically build up the entire deck. And then I looked at it and I saw it was just glue, and no one believed me. But here we are. I can hopefully show you a picture now from before and after. It was literally 2-hour job at least, but what I'm saying is, like, that was something scared away most people, and I took it as an opportunity to negotiate the price down. I mean, there are some mechanical red flags you can go to, but I wouldn't go for a boat that has big mechanical issues like electric issues or issues with the motor, because those are things you have to learn anyway at some point, of course, but that will basically run your motivation against the wall. Because I had some of those issues with like a not moving wave and kind of issues with the motor as well, and it took me around 5 days to fix it, but it broke me motivationally. It broke me in a way that I was like, I'm literally not able to fix it, because that engine was honestly a little bit scary to me. I have never worked on such an engine before. I've never worked on an engine before in my life, so that was something where I was like, I don't want to fuck something up. But that's where we come to the point later on, how you actually keep maintenance of such a boat, because I have some super nice tips from other sailors I met already, and those tips literally helped me to fix everything except only one single piece that I just couldn't remove myself. I fixed everything on this boat on my own, so that's gonna save you a lot of money, those tips, so keep on. And I think we're done with this part and can go to part 2.